ladies and gentlemen. It's our chess show on Pod TV. And my guest today is Jim Eid from Eid Foundation with very interesting material. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you for having me, Sasha.
Okay, let's hit it right away.
Okay. Um, yeah, in the Wall Street Journal, there was another article about the lack of response to women's complaints about inappropriate behavior by men in chess tournaments. And I've shared the link. I think we can put that up. Let's see.
Jim, are you talking about inappropriate behaviors that men are winning too many games against women or something else?
The headline is Chess Platforms Halt Relationships with St. Louis Chess Club.
Oh,
And
wow.
in the article, they talk about how Grandmaster Ramirez was complained about repeatedly by women by inappropriate contact, physical contact with them, unsolicited and undesired, and that they had reported it, but there had been a lack of action. The article also includes the U.S. Chess, the National Governing Organization for Chess, that they had been reported multiple times and they had done nothing about it. So both Lichess and Chess.com are refusing to broadcast games from the St. Louis Chess Club, and we know that the St. Louis Chess Club has been phenomenal about the tournaments that they put on are wonderful, and everyone's very interested in it. So this is an incredible development as far as
Their St. Louis Chess Club is, in my opinion, the chess capital of the United States.
I agree.
It's by a large margin. And I've been there several times and watched the tournaments and played some chess there. It's very difficult to see how it would justify it because they're providing platform for U.S. Men and women chess championship recently, the juniors and seniors championships and girls and just name it, and Zinkfield Cup tournament. I refuse to understand that at all.
Well, let's see if I can share another. Let's see. I'm going to stop that one and see if I can present another one. The question is the lack of responsiveness, and this is a letter that's been signed. I just shared it. If we can bring that one up. We've been remained silent for too long, and this is over 100 European chess players who have signed this letter that says that they have been complaining about being harassed at tournaments to no avail. And so this is the question, not whether the St. Louis Chess Club is doing great things for chess. They unquestionably are. But are they paying attention to women that have been harassed and to their complaints? And I don't know if that, I don't have any firsthand knowledge of this, but I do know some of the women that have been have leveled complaints, like women's grandmaster Jen Shahade, who I've known for a long time, and I have complete confidence.
And she's 2 times U.S. chess champion.
Yes, and a very, very strong player, also a great poker player too.
Yes.
And she's been published in the New York Times editorial and Wall Street Journal. So she's been the greatest ambassador for women in chess that I know of recently. You can go back to Susan Polgar before her, but currently she has been the best. And she was the women's representative for U.S. Chess, but she resigned that position, which was well compensated position, but she resigned because she didn't think she was being taken seriously with the complaints that she was raising. So this is something that chess players, back when I was starting, there were very few women in chess. And as women came in, they were considered to be novelties, and sometimes they were objectified. And it seems like this problem has only accelerated. I was on a show, International Master, do you know what's her last name? Belankaya hosted the show. It was all women except for me, and it was about FIDE. FIDE was having the same problems that U.S. Chess is having, as St. Louis Chess Club is having. Women feeling that could complain but weren't heard, and nothing was done about it to protect them. And we want to create a safe environment for everyone. This is something that's very important for people to be able to participate in a chess club. Women often complain about walking into a chess club and everybody turning and looking at them, and so it's a barrier to entry. But the more women, the better. I always say that if we increase the base, then the pyramid gets higher at the top. You stronger and stronger women, and we're seeing that. I think people have done excellent jobs about bringing girls in when they're very young, and they become strong, and then they have confidence when they get older, and so they don't care if men treat them differently. But touching or uninvited groping and kissing, that's beyond the pale. You can't have that. It's just totally inappropriate. And when you report it and you don't feel like your report is heard or that any action is taken, this is a giant problem in chess, and we're only scratching the surface. But I can tell you, I went to the U.S. Open, which is part chess tournament and part governance. And the governance portion is the delegates from all over the states collect and have a weekend meeting, but there are workshops prior to the meeting. And so I attended the women's committee workshop, and I raised this issue because, as I said, I've known Jen for a long time, and I wanted, like she's had to resign her position. Come on, who's doing better job of telling people it's okay for women to play chess than her?
And she has the recognition, she has authority, so it's not.
And she's a well-published author. Her book sells well. So it's like she's reaching people that the U.S. chess has no way of reaching. And how could they have lost her? So I brought it up at the women's committee, but they didn't want to talk about it.
How come?
I would only speculate as to how come, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to do so. But they really didn't want to touch the issue. Now, there are two executive board members there present, and one I thought was had a very arrogant attitude about it. They banned Grandmaster Ramirez from play, and they released a press release about it, and they said that their investigation included a third party, and that exonerated them. They handled everything perfectly. It was basically the result. But they didn't identify who that third party is, And so immediately I thought that was kind of weak. And the executive board member, one of them, took an exception to that and was very defensive, I thought, and very arrogant in his reaction. It was that they didn't need to say who it was that investigated them.
Jim, I think this matter, sorry, it's the same thing with problem with cheating is that there are consequences. So when you move whatever the Chess Federation or chess.com doing, they are exposing or potentially exposing themselves to a lawsuit.
Yes.
So if this about Ramirez, and he would say that that's not true, it's never happened, and you're punishing me, and I will sue you for $100 million, like everybody's suing now. It's no less than $100 million, right? Because you're already spending money for lawyers, so you might as well be $100 million. So you'll take 50 and go home. So in this environment, and especially in such a litigious society as the United States, that's why probably they're very cautious and very slow, both St. Louis Chess Club and U.S. Chess Federation, to initiate some kind of a strong move. Because you see, unlike it's a court case, when court, the judge says so and so, so now you can appeal his decision, but the decision has been made and it has authority. Now, the decisions by Chess Federation or by St. Louis Chess Club may lack that authority. What do you think?
Well, I think you're raising an excellent point. Everyone is afraid of being sued. And that does explain some of the reluctance to react hastily. I totally understand that. And I think that that's a very good thing to keep in mind. When you complain about something, you kind of have this expectation that they're going to do something right away. But if you've ever been sued or been in a company that has been sued, you got to be cautious. You got to make sure you're crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. And so that's a very valid point. And I will say that the vice president of U.S. Chess was also the president at the Women's Committee meeting. And he told me all the steps that U.S. Chess have taken. So he was he addressed the issue, and I was really appreciative. His name is Ken Pryor. Really appreciated what he told me. And they've taken a lot of action, including at the national events. Before every round, they announce the safety guidelines. They include a hotline that they call if you have something to report. Now, whether it's going to be handled in the way that you want it to be handled, that's an open question. But at least they're telling people right at the start of the rounds in these national events, it should be a safe environment. If you don't feel safe, call this number. And I think that's a real positive step.
It is.
And I think women will appreciate that, or anybody who doesn't feel safe at a tournament will appreciate that. And so I really appreciated the Vice President Kevin Pryor saying that, as opposed to the arrogant attitude I experienced with the other. So this is the kind of thing you got to be sensitive to this. And there's more work to do. Women don't want to complain, first off, because they don't think anything will be done. And second off, they will be targeted. People will say they will find out that they complained. And all of the person who's accused, all of their friends will then shun them or worse, treat them poorly. So they don't want to even open up this can of worms, because their experience will suffer. But this is not the kind of environment that will attract women into chess. And we had this attitude of chess as a gentleman's game. Even when we were mostly men, we were respectful. That was the attitude I had. We were encouraging women to participate. We wanted to make them feel welcome. But there is a percentage of males who are still in a kind of like a Stone Age or kind of thinking that they're there for their own amusement, rather than as a fellow chess player, as someone who would delight in the game of chess. And I think that we are we're decades behind society at large in taking these things seriously as a community in chess, but we're making some strides, and I appreciate what U.S. Chess is doing now. And
Jim, are you suggesting that there are more predators in men's chess communities than in the general community?
no, I'm not suggesting that. I could only speculate as to that, and I don't have any data to back it up. But I do say that there is a percentage of them that are.
I think actually that's probably the case. You know why? Because chess.
We're aggressive. Yes.
On the one side, yes, they're more aggressive. On the other side, they're more nerdy type of people than general population. So they don't have much experience to deal with females and so on. So they are, on one hand, they desire somehow to deal with females and be attracted to them and so on. On the other hand, they're scared of the process, that they will be sort of rejected. And that leads them to do something kind of that will amuse them. You're right. Will if female will not really fight that, and so they will sort of perceive it as an agreement of some kind of continuous.
I think I know what you're saying, Sasha, because you can see that they're introverts by nature, chess players, and they haven't developed
Yes. Yeah.
social skills
Yeah.
that you would expect in a general population.
Yes.
Some sort of the social skills where you understand, like if a woman steps back, that means no. It's like if
don't continue.
If she steps forward, that means yes.
We know where it goes.
There's unspoken communication, but however, we're talking about just flat out aggression, ignoring the signals that a woman is giving you,
especially if she
says verbal.
Especially if she says no, not now. Okay,
right?
So you can You can really treat.
I mean, that there's nothing that's like you hard to understand about that. It's not something that you can debate. No does mean no, and unless she's you know also simultaneously grabbing you and pulling you towards her, there's no doubt.
Yeah, but
So
what if there are no witnesses who heard that? And
this is true. This
one
is another
person,
problem. It gets to the he said, she said, which
yeah.
is also to your point about litigation.
By the way, about litigation, Jim, but let's see Ramirez. I met him at the St. Louis Chess Club and so on. Will not comment on him much, except one thing. Ramirez is professional chess player and commentator and so on. So by what's happened to him, he is losing his means of sustaining his lifestyle. So now he has to learn how to drive a cab or maybe some other things, right? So wouldn't he be thinking perhaps, especially if he'll find a contingency lawyer, to say that, look, what happened? Okay, so I said something to a girl, which I even don't remember who she is, and I don't remember what I said to her, if I said anything to her. And you know what? Probably I said something, but not to her, but to a man who was standing by. And I don't remember even that man either. I don't care about him or her or whatever. I lost my means of supporting myself and my family. I want to sue for $100 million. Go ahead and do it. So how to deal with that? So what are then appropriate bodies like St. Louis Chess Club? They know a thing or two about lawsuits for sure. U.S. Chess Federation. So what are you going to say that it's proven beyond reasonable doubt that he indeed touched so and so and said nasty things to so? Where is the proof, the witnesses, statements, and so on? And what
I
is
think
the outcome?
this is there seems to be in his case a preponderance of evidence, if not proof. But you raise a good point. Like, what if you're out at the bar after tournament game, which I have been many times, and people are joking around, and people are getting a little tipsy and they get a little confused. Those things. I think adult women can forgive those types of misunderstandings. So I think we're talking about something else. I think we're talking about something that's that has to be taken more seriously.
Yeah,
And especially some of the I was reading that a couple of them were underage, so that gets to the creepy level.
absolutely. There another news is that International Chess Federation banned transgender women from playing in women's tournaments. Okay, so that raises a question. Obviously, they cannot play in men's tournament. However, now they also cannot play in women's only tournaments, right? So, what's the remedy for them to create their own tournaments? So there will be eventually transgender world championship and
Yeah.
a new world champion or something.
And didn't they do something with their titles as well? I can't remember specifically what it was, but I think like they didn't honor the men's title anymore that they had earned.
So again, same as with the championships, they will have to create their own titles: transgender grandmaster, transgender master, so on. Create their own championship, which the winner will be declared transgender world champion.
But isn't the whole action by FIDE kind of silly? I mean, in sports, you're testing for testosterone levels, and that's one of the things that they think give men an unfair advantage over women. And so when they're transgender, men competing as women, they think they have an edge due to their testosterone levels and things like that. But how does that affect chess? I don't understand. The testosterone level doesn't make you a better chess player, I don't think.
Well, if you, first of all, let's agree or disagree, whoever, on the fact that, sorry to say, men are better players than women, as much as it's grossly unfair to beautiful ladies. but it's a medical fact. It's a fact of life. You take first top 100 players, there is one woman and 99 men, and so on and on and on. So it's even I hate even to repeat that because it's so obvious. It's the same thing as say that, for example, the temperature in the summer is higher than in the winter. Oh, really?
Mhm.
Well, evidence suggests that that's the case. So same thing is here. Okay.
Well, the argument, Sasha, is that women have been denied participation for a long, long time. And so, of course, you're not going to see this stronger. Like, I'll go back to my widen the base and the top of the pyramid gets bigger, taller, higher. And so
Agreed.
you will see more and more women
Agreed.
achieving higher and higher ratings now that we're allowing them to participate as young girls and getting to be strong and confident. And so I think that is gradually changing. And if 20 years from now there are not more women in the top 100, I would be surprised. But
No, listen. I wouldn't argue with you on that. But again, it's a possibility. Okay, let's put it this way.
yes,
It's a possibility. However, the way the world has been created so far
right.
is that for some reason, not 100% clear to me. 90% okay, but not 100. The women are bigger players. I cannot say the same about my family, where
Yes.
actually I'm the weakest link. But
Six-time Canadian champion spouse of yours.
So that's exactly the case. So a man who is by definition in most cases is stronger than the average man, stronger than average female. Okay, perhaps, but most likely that's the case. So now he, by changing his sex to a female, he retains whatever physical, psychological nature of him as a man are going to stay with him. And therefore, he will be stronger than most of female participants, provided that he's not a moron and he knows a little bit how to play chess.
Yeah, but are we suggesting that someone would undergo a sex change in order to win a chess tournament or title? You know, it seems preposterous to me.
Chess players are very competitive.
Yes, I can attest to that.
So let's see, they're banging and they're achieving, say, 1800 Ella. Oh, 2000, but that's about how far they can go.
Uh-huh.
Oh, if I were female, I could play in class tournaments and win women's prizes and so on. Oh, let's do it, because all I want to do is to play chess. So I don't have any proof of that, obviously.
Of course not, but neither of us can comment on that.
Actually, it would be very interesting to take interview from transgender chess players, really, to find out.
Well, I think one of the things is, it seems absurd on FIDE's part to have taken this action, but I would assume, and this could be an invalid assumption, that they did some research, they did do some interviews, maybe not. But I would love to get the players, because my perspective has always been players first. Go to the players, find out. And, did they do that? Do they know what they're doing? Or is it a response to a political kind of thinking that this is the way men and women were made? And anytime you get this confusion, we're against it. Like, you're seeing laws passed in Florida and things like that are just, to me, they're absurd, but to many people, they make sense. They're consistent with their worldview. Well, so is FIDE reacting that way, or are they taking this as a seriously, this is unfair to women in a competitive environment kind of thing?
Well, I think there are 2 points. One of them is what we're discussing right now, and another one is political. Is because in some countries, probably, let's see, Muslim countries, let's see if you take Pakistan.
Of course, you're right.
Would Pakistan hold the ladies tournament provided that there will be a few transgender players? I don't think that Pakistan would be very happy about that,
I
and
agree.
many other Muslim countries. Now, even I'd say a lot of Eastern European countries would not be too crazy about these tournaments. Western European countries, some of them, I'm pretty sure, would be against it. But that raises another point, which I think I raised already. When if they cannot obviously play in men's tournament, and they now
Yeah.
start playing
Where
ladies,
do they go? Yeah.
where let's see, and they love playing chess. So what, they
Right.
have to travel to each other's house and just play friendly games in the evening. What about the tournaments? What if they really have talent and could become maybe chess teachers, maybe chess commentators, or so on? So the profession is closed to them, right?
Yeah, and that stripping of the titles would seem to be just punitive and senseless. I think that what you're saying, if you're talking about changing your gender, I'm sure your life has not been comfortable. I'm sure there has been a lot of complications, some pain and suffering that's
Sure.
involved in that. And then to not allow them to play chess, it's just punitive beyond my imagination. And, there has to be some way of making them feel welcome. It gets back to that, all of that. Yeah, we're all one family. That's the FIDE motto. We all should be able to sit down, whatever country we're from, whatever language we speak. It doesn't matter. That's the ideal. Now, it's not true in practice, we know, but it's the
Unfortunately.
ideal.
Yeah, Jim, I totally agree with you. I think it's a kind of it's an issue. I think there are just very few professional transgender women in
Yeah,
chess.
yeah.
Very
I'm
few.
sure it's a
I,
small number. I'm sure. I
very
don't
very
know, but
small
I'm sure.
numbers. So maybe it's this point is really mute and nobody protested and so on. I think they're reacting to a lot of ladies concerned that what if transgenders are allowed to play and they're coming from, let's see, there was a man, let's see his rating, say 2400, and for some reason one or another he just was not happy with his life and he became a transgender ladies. And now she's playing in a chess tournament with 2400 rating. She can go far. Now, if we're going to be 2500, it's even more so. Forget about 2600 and 2700, or Magnus Carlsen himself is 2850. So we'll not go that far.
Well, I'll give you this one example in my personal experience. There was
Sure.
a standardized test when we were in school, and I scored in the 99 percentile in everything but mechanical aptitude, and I scored very low in mechanical aptitude, and I was taken aback. And then this girl sitting next to me scored much higher, and I was like, I couldn't understand it. And it turns out that this standardized test was graded differently in mechanical aptitude for women than it was for men.
Really?
And I was outraged. Of course, I was in junior high at the time, but I was outraged. How could you treat us differently like this? Because I had no idea if I was more mechanically able than she, based on our scores, because they were graded differently. So I was compared to other men, and compared to other men, I wasn't so good. But the general population, maybe I would have been, at least being able to hold my head up. It's like I wouldn't feel so bad about my lack of mechanical aptitude. So we have this built into society, looking at genders differently and not as equals. And this goes deep in our society. And when we can treat people equally, it's questionable, because right now, as you point out, the sheer numbers of men being stronger preclude women from competing for certain titles. Like, we have an open U.S. championship. It's an invitation based on rating. Women
Okay.
can't qualify for it, so we
No.
have a women's championship.
Yes.
That's not ideal, but it's the way it is right now. Hopefully in the future we could just have one U.S. championship, but that might be a long way off. And right now we make accommodations, and
I
so
remember many years ago when we just came to Canada, it was 1975. The Canada would send two teams to Olympiads. One is men's team, another one is women's team.
yes,
So when Nava started to play and won a couple of championships or so on, they've changed, and there were, no, I wouldn't say danger, but the possibility that Nava actually could make men's team. But it's a men's team, so she wouldn't be able to play because she's not a man.
Yeah.
So they changed the men's team to national team
Yes.
and ladies team. So
Yeah.
now in national team, if she would be that strong and continue her professional chess career, she could qualify for
Yes.
national team, but not men's team. Right? So
And the Poldars were the same way. The Hungarian Federation gave them a lot of static about participating in
yeah, Judith was not only she was playing on the first board of
Yeah.
national team, and I think
Yeah.
she was the captain of the team many times. Yeah, well, we are living in very interesting times, Jimmy.
Yes.
I think we will continue our discussion next week. In the meantime, let's follow with World Cup. The Carlsen
Yes.
is formidable. He's playing probably one of the best chess of his life and very convincingly wins. The only problem is if he's in semifinals, so there are 4 people left, 3 of them are qualifying. So if Carlsen refuses to play, then all 3, regardless how well they've done, they're all going to candidate tournament, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. In very few
It's so interesting. You're absolutely right. And next week, our friend, International Master Ken Reagan, will be back with us.
Yes.
And he can show us some games.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next week, same time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.